We continued our exploration of Pennsylvania on our mild off-roading trip. This part was paved as we headed up to the state park. We were going up to an overlook at one of the higher peaks in the area. And this is a space that's very popular with hang gliders because it is right over the Susquehanna River and the Susquehanna Valley. So it has amazing views, but if you're there at the right time, you can also see hang gliders taking off from the ramp that they have on the side of the mountain. Line them up. Oh, there's bathrooms.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Fancy.
Backing in.
Backing in.
Like so many of the places that we've visited recently, this was created by the CCC. And you could see the characteristic stonework that you see at many locations that were built by the CCC. I feel like it's the same statue we saw in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah. They're everywhere.
They are.
I wonder what would happen if they weren't around. We wouldn't have any of these parklands.
No. Probably did work for them back in the day.
Yeah. Hard.
Thanks to all of that hard work, now we're able to come to this overlook and enjoy this beautiful view. Even when it was raining and quite foggy, it was still just an amazing view.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably the ramp that you go off.
We passed them down there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, guess we did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we passed all the way down along there.
Oh.
On the other side of the river, there's one of those fields over there.
Where?
One of them, it shows it on the Purple Lizard map, like the landing area is somewhere on the other side of the river.
I wonder how long do you go?
I am thinking that that would not be me.
No?
I would take pictures of it when you guys do it.
Since the weather was not good today, we didn't get to see any hang gliders. But when we were leaving, we met a man at the gas station who was filling up before heading up to Hyner View State Park, and he had all of his equipment to hang glide on top of his van. And he said if you come up here on a nice day, you will probably see several people taking off with their hang gliders, and it's a really neat thing to see them go down the ramp and then just glide over the valley. That's a pretty cool stop. Good view. Back into the rain though. It's definitely worth stopping if you're in the area to check out that view, especially if it's a nice day and you get to see the hang gliders. At that point, we had been driving for quite a while, and we were starting to head back toward camp at Bald Eagle State Park. But we had a little bit more off-roading, a little bit more forest roads to explore through some of the very thick Pennsylvania woods. I can't get over how dark the forest is here. It's like really dense. Patrick had turned on his All Trails app when we left that morning, and it was tracking the route that we were taking, which is nice because if you ever want to go back to that area, you can have that route saved, and it tells you how much elevation gain and how much distance you covered. We did the recording on All Trails, so it was 105 miles altogether. We were out for about 5 hours, and then there's the route. Yeah, there you go. We went like up and down 2 mountains. That's neat. The route that we did that day was about 105 miles, and there was an elevation gain of 6,500 feet. So I'm very glad that we were doing that in a vehicle and it wasn't a hiking trip. We headed back over the bridge across the Susquehanna River into the town of Lock Haven and then headed back to Bald Eagle State Park. rustic loop at Bald Eagle State Park is laid out in kind of a strange way. It's a very elongated loop, and the trailer sites are right next to the road. It's very precarious parking here. There's really no parking. It's just on the road. The layout seemed to us like maybe they had an access road or something that was built in this area, and they thought, well, let's put some campsites along the edge to make use of it, especially because the bathrooms and the water access points are in very odd places. And when we were leaving, we would also see that the dump station had a very odd placement. But we were happy to see that everyone's tarp was still up as we came back to our camping area. Even the tarp that was attached to the Scamp, it did really well in the rain.
I whipped this for 30 minutes. Literally.
You beat its head?
Yeah.
Don't get used to this. This is not normal.
Oh, okay.
More,
Get rid of me.
more finesse jab.
Whipped cream. It was a good first day of the trip. It was a nice route. We got to see a lot of different sites that you wouldn't normally see if you were on the main roads. And everybody came back with their vehicles in one piece, which I know was our goal, so that's always nice.
I sent a text message out. It's time to go. Let me drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
After over 5 hours in the car, we were definitely ready to head back to the campsite and settle in for the night. One of the tricky things about camping when it's raining is that once things get wet, nothing dries. Even like our good REI camp towels that almost always dry for you to take the next shower, still wet, still cold. But we're gonna go over to the showers and hopefully there's hot water, and then cook dinner, and if the rain holds out, have a campfire. The rustic campground only has pit toilets. There's no running water. So you have to get in your car and drive around to the other side of the lake to the Russell P. Letterman campground, which is the main campground at Bald Eagle, where they have most of the RV sites. And you get kind of a warm shower. But then we were ready to settle in for the night. We're going into day 3 of cold, damp, and rainy. And campground's starting to clear out. Actually, the rest of the gang left. They're out driving. We're just like slow start today. Slow start. Andy didn't sleep so hot. We woke up a bunch of times because the inside of the camper is so damp. The walls are sweating. Everything's wet. We woke up because the vent right over the bed every once in a while will just like drip on your face. So that's the point we're at right now. They're doing a pretty long trail ride today. I think they're doing longer than yesterday. So we were just like, couldn't get ourselves going this morning. So we're just gonna like figure it out as we go. I'm gonna play it by ear. And
Free play day.
Yeah, free play. Just kind of see, we're hanging out with Andy, see what he feels up to doing, see what we feel up to doing, because we got to drive home tomorrow. We're kind of not looking forward to that, but the good news of the day, we get to see Redford tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. Miss the Redford. Yeah, so we're going to see what we get up to today. You know, it's raining a lot when a sinkhole opens up at the campsite. It's like this good 3-foot hole that Andy stepped in last night. We had a campsite that was right along the road. We were at number 21, but there are also some walk-in tent sites that are tucked into the woods. People up the hill at the walk-in tent site just left. And they said we could take their wood.
It's kind of hot.
It's a little bit of a walk.
Yeah, go on up there.
Well, it's actually pretty uneven and rocky.
Is it?
They actually had to spread out in the woods to...
Man. They left today, and I totally understand why. This is rough in a tent. It's pretty up here, though. Wow. Very uneven, but pretty. Holy. How do you set up a tent on this? It's raining again.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hot coffee and donuts?
Yeah, let's find a diner.
We're not that adventure-y.
Am I on camera?
You are.
Is this shoplifting? They offered to.
When you're the hardier ones and you stay the extra day, you get the extra firewood.
Yeah.
We decided to come into town and just kind of walk around, do a little exploring. Parked over here by the water.
We'll travel.
It's very pretty.
That's the thing, sometimes it's rain.
After walking along the Susquehanna River for a while, we decided to head into downtown Lock Haven. It's a very cute town, and we wanted to see if we could find somewhere to have lunch. Now, the town was very quiet because this is a college town. They have Lock Haven University here, and it was the end of May, so college was out for the summer. And I think that's why the town was very quiet, and actually most places were closed. So we did have a hard time finding somewhere to get lunch. And we ended up heading a little bit closer to the campground to find this diner. It was just the sort of leisurely afternoon that we were looking for our last day of the trip. We headed back to the campground and had some coffee with fresh whipped cream and started a fire while we waited for the rest of the group to come back from their ride.
I'm sewing all right when I get home. Sewing hard top, 4 doors.
Oh, I thought you meant this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that
And he's like, I'm never camping again.
if I do it, I'll get something more expensive than that thing.
Yeah.
No.
That's to keep the wind off you and make you feel like you're doing something.
They
Yeah,
don't
no.
seam seal, like cheap tents, they don't seam seal them, and they'll leak.
It's like, I was thinking about those yurts are pretty cool where you get a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
Cabin and shower, I'm good.
You would like that place that we went to in Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Shannon brought that up yesterday.
Yeah. Their bathhouse was beautiful.
I could do that.
It was like a yurt right on the lake, and then the cabin that we stayed in was dog friendly. We brought Red. So, yeah, but the yurt, we were like, if we came without the dog, you can't have the dog in the yurt. We were like, if we didn't have the dog, the yurt had a deck on the back of it right on the lake.
Oh, man.
So cool.
I love yurts. I think they're cool.
Here they come. What time is it? 6:30.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, we got 2 out of 4.
Uh-oh. Maybe they're at Walmart or something.
They lost the trucks.
Yeah, they're probably at Walmart.
That's awesome.
Funny hat.
Yeah. Wear your Budweiser hat.
Last price I saw
Still,
in
you
stock
burn my
was
lip.
like 5.5 for 1,000 rounds.
Ooh,
Like I'm not paying.
As everyone got back to camp, we settled around the campfire and we cooked some veggie burgers on the fire, which turned out very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, do they got them in camo? See if Federal Signal makes them.
They make them.
We spent some time hanging out by the campfire, warming up before our last night of cold, damp camping of this trip. It's the last day. We're sort of up and getting packed. And the sun is finally out. At least we're gonna have nice weather for driving home, and we're not packing up in the rain because that's never fun.
I think I'd rather have nice weather Packing up. And
packing up.
setting up.
Yeah. Although, it was not my favorite experience putting stuff up in the rain.
Yeah.
But for sure, yeah. Glad to see the sun. Okay, ready to go?
Yeah, out of here.
Well, that's the dump.
Dump.
I'll get out on the road.
Pat's dumping the tanks, and I always hear people talk about dump stations that are like well designed or not well designed, and I was always like, what? Dump station's a dump station, it can't be that bad. But the dump station here is on the opposite side on a one-way, so there's the do not enter signs. So we had to drive out the loop. Pat had to do a U-turn, drive the wrong way down a one-way, and go onto the opposite side to dump. Which, if we had a bigger rig, wouldn't happen. You wouldn't be able to turn around here. So I don't know who designed this, but they didn't think it out too well. Once the tanks were empty, Pat had to back the Scamp up and do a little bit of a K-turn to get out of there, so that he didn't have to drive the entire loop going the wrong way. But thank goodness the Scamp is pretty nimble, and we were able to turn around pretty easily, and then we got on the road for the 4.5-hour drive that we had home. It's nice to see blue sky. It looks so different coming out, and it's not like raining.
Perspective on that.
What a difference. There's just like 3 days of gray, wet, rainy. We get to enjoy the beautiful view as we leave.
The house up there.
Oh man,
People fishing.
it looks so different.
Go swimming in the summertime. Well, it is summertime.
Yeah, it is summertime. We kind of forget that. Remember earlier in the week we were like, maybe we'll get to go swimming. That would be great.
I didn't even wear my shorts.
It just broke 60 for the first time in like, what, 4 or 5 days.
The way it goes. Back up.
It's funny how the things you say at the beginning of the trip come back to haunt you.
It's usually true. Oh, we'll never do that. We'll never
It's
tarp
fine.
tent.
We don't need to fix the heater before this trip. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll never do that tarp tent stuff. Oh, okay. I did it for 10 days.
Tell you what, glad we kept the sleeping bags in the Scamp for that, like, just in case, because this trip was when we needed them. This was a really fun end to the trip, something completely different from what we usually do, camping with a group, and just awesome people to hang out with. Fun, doing some off-roading, something very different from our hiking. And that's kind of how we like to do it on trips. It's like variety, so that you don't get just the same thing over and over, especially when we're out for 9 days. It's a pretty good time to be out camping. So we try to like mix it up and do different stuff. So this was a really good end to the trip. But now I am super ready to go home and see Redford. And do laundry and clean the Scamp. It's amazing how dirty it gets when it's just like crappy weather and everything's muddy. But I will say, like, our gauge of being able to travel, I feel like if we got a good reset day where we could do laundry and just clean out the Scamp, I think it would be fine to keep going.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of other stuff in this area that we're like, oh man, I wish we could go check out that bridge, or, you know, go hiking and see some of the other state parks. But one day we'll have more time to just keep going, if the dog was with us. That's the only thing. Gotta get the Redford. Thank you so much for joining us on this trip through Pennsylvania with our Scamp. It was definitely an eventful trip. We're looking forward to sharing some of our summer travels with you, including a trip to Assateague National Seashore and some highlights around New Jersey. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and though time flies, we'll have enough to realize bigger than the both of us.